Hi, welcome to this video. I am Felipe Sotelo, software developer of Dotnet platform. In this case, I want to share with you one rack implementation, Retrieval-Augmented Generation using Dotnet API and Gemini LLM to get more and enrich information from some context or other resources like to databases or something like that. In that case, we have the user. He sent a prompt to the chat that is a component of uh, Microsoft AI tools that you find in the Microsoft repositories, and the chat has different procedures between the .NET API and Gemini LLM. Uploading files, send questions, get augmented response, and in this case, that network API has the responsibility to save embeddings from chunks, say embeddings from questions, and search similarity questions and documents between the cousin algorithm in this case. And I have one JSON database for this purpose. It's simple, and you can implement one interaction with vector database, and .NET has these responsibilities with the Gemini LLM, that is embedding chunks, embedding questions, and get AI augmented response from the Gemini LLM, and finally return the information up to the chat in this case. Hi, in this solution we have a chat app and .NET Rack API to connect the user with the Rack assistants, and the .NET API establish the connections with the Gemini LLM with the Google API, that you can find all documentation about that in the Google portal for developers. In this API, I have the chat controller that have two endpoints, one for questions and one for calculate embeddings from questions, in this case, to advance with the prompt, the final prompt to send the chat app to the Rack API from the user. Yes. On the other hand, I have the file controller to upload multiple files that works as a context for this solution of RAG AI implementation. In that case, the models for this solution is a record for document that perceives the ID of document, the text of chunk, that this chunk is a um, part of the document that you can persist in the database, and passing obviously the embedding, that is a vector that has the position, magnitude, and direction for this related vector to that text. Yes. And the Gemini response, that is a model to get response from the API. You can find this code in my repo that I had that I shared with you in the descriptions of this video. And the document store is the principal service to save the documents into the database of JSON, in this case for simulate only the persist information that you can use for embeddings multiples vectors into the vector database as a quadrant, or other approach that you can use, for example, Redis or others that you can implement in your solutions. Well, the Gemini service is a service implemented the API request and response using the API of Gemini in beta 1 for version 1, using the embedding model to get the embeddings from the text that you can use for the questions and documents. Again, I explained that. And what the other method of this Gemini service is the as assigned to send my question to the content. In this case, uh, I getting the information in that property to the response from the Gemini LLM. Yes. And well, this is a utility, not much important, and RAG PDF Gemini implementation to this that I have one functionality to upload the documents and making splitting text for these documents and getting the chunks, and for every chunk I get the embeddings and passed the part of text, yeah, and the embeddings for this chunk and the identifier for this part of document that you can see in the vector store. ID, text, and embedding. Yeah, the embedding is a vector with multiple numbers that allow to um, suggest a position, magnitude, and direction. Yeah, and well, this part contains a get embeddings, obviously, to get the embeddings for the documents, as you can see in my presentation video in the first part of this post. And well, finally, we have the ask assigned to get the embeddings for the question. And the next step is search these embeddings that I can review in this part. I have a functionality to search the similarity with the question and documents persisted on the vector file. In this case, I implement the cosine algorithm to getting the calculation with the dot product and getting the normal for the a vector and b vector, and then with this formula I have the percent of proximity in between the document and questions. And finally, with this link queue functionality, I have all cosines calculated, ordered by descending, and getting the top k for that case. Yeah, and not much more. And finally, okay, and finally, this is the app, the chat app. You can use the upload context for example, send this CV of context in the chat app, and immediately you can use the box to send message to the Gemini directly with this chat app. Well, what error you find more concurrent in the Felipe's CV? For example, And the assistant responds the most glaring and repeated error in Felipe's CV is the repetition of initial information, name, title, skills, and summary, multiple times. This is a highly professional and makes the document look incomplete or carelessly assembled. Other potential but less major issues are incomplete sentence at the end of the summary. Yeah, this is my correction of this assistant. And the page number, I have one error that appears at the end, which is unusual. Yes. And well, on the other hand, what's the most stronger skills of Felipe's CV? And well, this is the magic for that case. You can find the resume of strong capabilities that offer your candidates in the case of recruiters for one candidate for any position. Yeah. In this case, the assistants say that I have experience in React, Angular, JS, C Sharp, Python, and Microsoft technologies as Azure and other cloud technologies as Azure and AWS, um, working with high performance solution and architecture design and technical leadership in other positions and experience is 14 years of experience and something like that. Well, that's it, and that's it. My approach of rack implementation using the net. You can find this link in the comments of this video, and I hoping that you find interesting. And see you there next time.